of restaurants over here, a lot of good eateries. You know, P.F. Chang's, Ruth Chris Steakhouse. They got Giovanni Pastrami, which is good, and Roy's. Roy's is only open for dinner, but they're a little bit more costly, but it's a really good restaurant over there. And right in the front on the right here, this is the Royal Hawaiian Center. This is named after that pink hotel, the Royal Hawaiian. This is the largest shopping mall in Waikiki. And all the way at the end of the center, they have Cheesecake Factory, which used to be the busiest cheesecake factory in America before the pandemic. I'm sure they reached that status again. And right down the street from the Cheesecake Factory, they got Duke's and Hula Grill at the Outrigger. Very good place to eat and hang out. And on the left here is the International Marketplace. This used to be very casual until Saks Fifth Avenue came along and they said they're going to open up shop. And they renovated the whole place for Saks. But just last month, Saks went out of business. So they're going to replace it with a Target. Good old Target. On the right here, that's the oldest hotel in Waikiki, the Moana Surf Rider. Yeah, very nostalgic. Okay, so we got one stop here at the Hyatt Regency and one more after this. All right, thank you for your patience. Mahalo. Little bigger. It's not that big, but it's a little bigger than usual. And right on the right over there in front of the beach, there's a statue of Duka Hanamoku. And Duka Hanamoku was a famous waterman. He won the Olympic gold medal in swimming ever since it started. You know, he had very big hands, very big feet, and he could swim very fast. I'll be talking about Duke later on the tour. But when you hear about the Duke in Hawaii, that's who they're talking about, Duka Hanamoku, not John Wayne. So we got one more stop to go, and then we'll be off on the tour. All right, thank you for your patience. Mahalo. Yeah, I got 8 from Hyatt. Headed to Marriott. That sticker that I gave you guys, just place it somewhere on you. Okay, they'll be looking for that sticker at some of the stops. Alright, and you guys are going to be my ohana today. Ohana. You guys know what ohana is? No. Family, right. Oh. And my family, we don't fight, we don't complain, and we take care of each other. Okay? Sound good? Alright. So get to know each other. It's going to be a long day. You know, all I ask is that you guys keep track of the time. Make sure you return in a timely fashion, just so you don't keep everybody else waiting. I'll give you guys extra time at the stops, but just watch that time. Okay, so today, when we get back about 5 o'clock or so, we're not going to get back at 5, we'll be back about 3:30, but at 5 o'clock down on the street, they're going to have a parade. It's the Pan Pacific Matsuri Parade. It'll go all the way up to over here. So that should be pretty fun to watch. You know, this whole week they got all these Pan-Pacific festivals out here in Waikiki. All kinds of events. That's why they had that block party on Friday. You know, Saturday they had another parade. That was the King Kamehameha Day Parade, which was one of the nicest parades on the island, the Floral Parade. If you guys got a chance to see that, that was really beautiful. Yeah. King Kamehameha is our first king of the island. And right over here on the left, this statue over here with the leis, that's Queen Kapiolani. That's who the park is named after. Queen Kapiolani was the wife of King Kalakaua. And King Kalakaua was the last king of the island. He's the one that the main avenue in Waikiki is named after. Yeah, so Kalakaua, this is the end of Waikiki. You know, Waikiki is our tourist destination spot. It's very congested, very commercialized. It's like a concrete jungle. That's why it's good to go on a tour like this and get out of Waikiki, get to see how Hawaii really is like. And right on the left, Kapiolani Park, this is the home of the Honolulu Marathon. This is where the finish line is. And that's our largest marathon. They have it in December. It's a 26-mile course. Most of the contestants in the marathon are visitors from Japan. That's why after the pandemic, they haven't been coming. They're hardly coming back even now, but then they haven't been coming back much at all at that time, and they only had about 9,000 contestants. But last year they had about 27,000. Yeah, in 1995, it became the largest marathon in the U.S. They beat the Boston Marathon that year with a little over 30,000 contestants. But they always wait for the last person to finish. And the last person to finish before the pandemic was this old Japanese man. He was over 90 years old, started running at 5 in the morning, and he finished at 10 p.m. Very healthy guy. Yeah, but the motorcycle escorts brought him back safely. So this, you see this tree in the front over here? This is the golden shower tree. We have all these shower trees in Waikiki and they're blooming right now, so it's a good time to come to Hawaii. You know, right over here in the front is our iconic crater, Diamond Head. Yeah, Diamond Head, a lot of people like to go up there hiking. There's a trail that takes you all the way to the top and you can get a fantastic view of this side of the island. And Diamond Head, you know, it only takes about an hour and a half round trip, so it's not that bad of a hike. Yeah, but Diamond Head used to be called Leahi, and Leahi translates into the brow of a tuna. You know, you guys say tuna, we say ahi. Yes, but if you ever look at a tuna fish, right in the front part, you know, look at that guy, cuts in front of me and then he almost bangs us. And then he's getting mad at me. Must be a tourist. No.
You said we're family.
Well, maybe he used to be a tourist. Yeah, probably from somewhere else, that's for sure. Yeah, Diamond Head, you know, they used to have the old Hawaiian army up there, and they used to have cannons up in the hill. And it used to shoot any of the unwanted ships from coming in. And they were pretty sophisticated back then. They would triangulate the coordinates to see how far they had to shoot. You know, but Diamond Head today is still used by the military. It's a military installation up there. And they used to have these fun concerts, the Crater Festival. That was something like Woodstock. They would have a 3-day event, invite all the popular bands from the mainland, and have a 3-day concert. But it got too expensive, so they don't have that anymore. Now over here, a lot of people like to exercise. You can see everybody running, jogging, walking, bike riding, very popular. And this is the only hill on the marathon. When you start the marathon, you come up this hill. When you end it, you come up from the other side. They call this Heartbreak Hill. And all these cars over here is mostly surfers. There's a pathway on the right here, it'll take you down to the beach. And like I said, today the waves are a little elevated on this side of the island. So you can see it's a little crowded. Not that crowded yet, but This is a very fun place for the surfers because the waves don't really get too big out here. It's good for the beginners out here. Yeah, very nice day. The sun's coming out. It'll get warmer and warmer as the day goes by.
Oh my god. Yeah.
Jeez, this guy.
Oh, that's bullshit.
He's been crazy.
He's crazy, actually.
Yeah, the Shangri-La. And the Shangri-La is this estate owned by Doris Duke. Doris Duke was a famous tobacco heiress. She started Duke's University. And then she came to Hawaii and she fell in love with Duke Kahanamoku, that famous waterman. And Duke taught her how to surf, and she fell in love with surfing, so she stayed in Hawaii. And then Duke's brother founded some land out there. She bought the land and built the home. They use it as a museum today. They call it the Shangri-La. They exhibit all her Islamic art collection. Now right on the left over here, this home is owned by the owners of Panda Express. Very nice home with the jacuzzi and the swimming pool. Yeah, very big home. Most of the homes on this stretch are big and new. On the right hand side you have the ocean. They have the beach out there. People living on the right hand side is like they have their own private beach. We don't have any private beaches in Hawaii. They're all open to the public. But the ones over here in the residential areas, every so often you have to have a public access way to the beach. But they don't have too many out here, so not too many people go out to these beaches out here. But there was this Japanese mogul that started buying all the homes out here. You know, he ended up with about 25 of them. Yeah, he was very eccentric, you know. Nobody knew why he was buying the homes, because he would buy the homes and just sit on it. He wouldn't even take care of it. That's why he seemed to love statues, and he put statues all over his yard. You know, Greek statues, Oriental statues, animal statues, but he wouldn't take care of it. So all the weeds would grow over his statue, and it didn't look too nice. And the neighbors were getting upset because they said it's bringing down their property values. So they wanted to kick him out, but he wasn't doing anything wrong. So they couldn't kick him out, but one day the Japanese government found that he wasn't paying taxes on the homes, and they fined him a hefty fine, and he had to sell all the homes to pay that fine. Finally the neighbors got happy. But he would even give a home to a homeless family for free to live in. Very eccentric guy.
Grand Circle Island with Haleiwa Tour. Traveling along the southeastern shores, we'll visit world-famous nature's wonder, Hanauma Bay. It will be approximately 20 minutes, so please sit back and enjoy the scenery. For your pleasure, at the earliest opportunity, your driver will provide you with an island favorite, a
Time out here, and our weather in Hawaii is pretty much the same all year round. You know, it's something like this, especially during the summertime. But what dictates the weather is the winds. So today we got the nice cool trade winds, and when we get the trade winds, even on a hot day, you can go under the shade and the winds are blowing, it'll cool you off. But sometimes we get the opposite wind, which is the Kona winds. The Kona winds come from Kona, which is on the island of Hawaii, where the volcanoes are. So it pushes all that volcanic heat out here, and the winds die down, and it gets very humid and muggy. That's when it gets uncomfortable out here. Right on the left over here, there's a marina. You know, they have really nice homes right on the marina there, Koku Marina. A lot of the homeowners have boats. And on the right-hand side, it's in Mauna Loa Bay. Very popular place for water sports. So they got canoe clubs like to practice out here. They do jet skiing, parasailing, paddleboard, kayaking, all kinds of water events. Now, you might have to stretch your necks a bit, but if you look on the right-hand side of the bus, all the way in the back, you can see Diamond Head from this side. And when you look at Diamond Head from this side, it kind of looks like a lady sleeping. Her hair kind of flows into the ocean, and on her head there's eyes. Her eyes are black right now because she's sleeping. But when the sun comes up fully, she wakes up and her eyes turn white. I'm not sure how it does that, but very interesting how it does that. Pele is the volcano goddess or the goddess of fire. You know, long ago, the old Hawaiians, they believed in all kinds of gods. There were gods of statues, gods of human, demigods, all kinds of deities. Madam Pele is one of the most popular gods even today. And a lot of people, especially on the island of Hawaii, they attribute all the volcano eruptions to Madam Pele. They say that Madam Pele is the one that makes the volcanoes erupt. You know, they said that Madam Pele is a very spiteful lady and she was jealous of all her lovers. And just like a woman scorned, she keeps on erupting. That's why we have the longest erupting volcanoes in the world out here on the island of Hawaii. Now, right on the left here, this is Coco Marina Shopping Center. But right on the left in the front here, there's a red and white food truck. That's Leonard's Malasadas. Anybody know what a Malasadas is? Malasadas is a Portuguese donut. And Leonard's has one of the best Malasadas on the island. Now, the Portuguese, they forgot something in the donut. They forgot to put the hole in the donut. So there's no hole in the donut. But what they do at Leonard's is they deep fry it. And it's nice and fluffy inside. And it's golden brown outside. And then they dunk it in sugar. Kind of a diabetes nightmare. But very ono. You guys, yeah, you know what ono means, huh? Ono means delicious. So whenever something tastes good in Hawaii, we say it's ono. Yes, if it doesn't taste good, then we say, oh no. Hawaiians are very simple people, you know. They sometimes use the same words. Now right on the left here is a very popular hiking spot, Coco Head Crater. A lot of people like to hike up to the top, catch the sunrise. You can see the trail in the middle. And President Obama went hiking up here during the presidency, but his Secret Service wasn't too happy. They had to follow him in their suits, and he was going along in his shorts. Takes about an hour just to get to the top. Now, right on the right is Hanauma Bay. This is one of the best places to go snorkeling. You can't really see the beach from the roadside, so I'm going to play a video that shows you how that beach looks. And we're getting to the end of the island, so when we make the turn, you should get a beautiful coastal view today.
Hanauma Bay Nature Reserve will be coming up shortly on the right-hand side. Hanauma Bay was formed 30,000 years ago by volcanic explosion. What is left today are the remains of the collapsed crater, the primary attraction.
Thank you.
Okay. Yeah, very ono.
Thank you.
Your perfect commentary.
Yes.
You have
Yeah.
the commentary side.
Thank you.
Very good. Thank
Where are you guys
so
from?
much.
We visit Sri Lanka and no,
Sri
actually
Lanka?
Australia.
Really?
Yeah,
Live in Australia.
Very
yeah, we
ono.
live in Australia.
Oh,
Ono
you
means
do?
in our language.
Yeah.
Ono means owner. Yes, we won't. We won't.
Yeah.
Yeah. Orang alang ni saya. Oh.
So if you go to a luau, they might offer you koi, but not too many people like that koi. It kind of takes an acquiring to get used to. But it also doesn't have much flavor. That's why some people put sugar in their koi or milk in the koi. So right on the right here, this is a very popular body surfing beach, sandy beach. You see the shore breaks right there? Oh yeah, the waves are pounding, and it's not even big. That's why when the waves get big over here, you might go in and catch a few waves, and when you come out, you don't have your bathing suit on. That's how strong it gets. But President Obama, he loved coming over here, and they wanted to change the name of the beach from Sandy Beach to President Barack Obama Sandy Beach. And everybody said, no, that's too long of a name. So they left it at Sandy's. Now right on the right over there, on the horizon, you can see that silhouette of the island. Yeah, there's 3 major islands that are close by over there. That long island is Molokai. And right on the left-hand side of Molokai, in the back, there's a big mountain, which is Maui. And on the right, there's another small island, which is Lanai. So on a clear day, you can see all 3 of them. Today, you can kind of only see Molokai out there. It's a little bit foggy. You know, we don't have smog in Hawaii. The air is very clear, very clean. You know, but the haze that you see in the air, that's what we call fog. So the fog is the volcanic smog. You know, it comes from the island of Hawaii where the volcanoes are at. It comes from the volcanoes. And just last week, one of the volcanoes started to erupt. But then it stopped. So it only lasted about a day. But it was going off over there. And, you know, when the volcanoes go off more, then the fog gets more thicker. When the winds blow harder or even softer, the fog will linger. When the winds are stronger, then it'll blow around. So that's the haze that you see in the air over here in Hawaii. So this is the east end of the island already. And as you can see, it didn't take us too long from Waikiki. Very close to Waikiki, but this end of the island is usually very dry. You know, it's kind of brownish out here, but last month we had this really bad storm out here. They call it the Kona Loa. When we get the Kona winds, which is the opposite winds, you know, it gets very humid and muggy, the winds die down, and then it starts to rain more because of the humidity. But we had a Kona Loa, which mixes the high temperature with the low temperature, and the hot air with the cold air. And that kind of creates a storm. So they call it the Kona Loa. When they get a Kona Loa storm, it rains a lot. But this was the worst Kona Loa that they had in 20 years. So it flooded the whole island. That's why it's really green out here right now. Now on the right-hand side over there, you see that rock formation. It kind of looks like a chair out there. That's what they call Madame Pele's chair. And Madame Pele used to sit in that chair, and she used to watch the lava flow into the ocean. You know, today Madame Pele's home is at the Halona crater on the island of Hawaii. She lives in the volcano. Now right on the right over there, that's another popular hiking spot. This is Kaiwi Point. And there's a trail that will take you all the way to the top of the mountain. It's a really nice trail over here because it's a big trail. So fairly easy to go up. And usually you won't see cars parked on the roadside here, but on the weekends, you'll get more and more cars as the day goes by. Very popular hiking spot over here. Yeah, a lot of people like to catch the sunrise over there. Now get your cameras ready, because right in the front is one of the nicest scenic views on the island. This is called Makapu, and Makapu translates into wide eyes. In the water, and look at these waters down here on the bottom, they're very beautiful. This is another popular body surfing beach, and this beach stays pretty secluded all day long. You know, the locals come over here, but the locals that come here, they go in the waters, they go body surfing. So this beach stays pretty secluded all day long out here. Very nice beach, Makapu. And right on the right over there, that big island is called Rabbit Island. You know, they used to have rabbits out there. And that small island, if you look at that small island, it kind of looks like a rabbit's head sticking out of the waters. And right in the front here, this building in the front is a Japanese wedding chapel. The Japanese weddings are very lucrative in Hawaii. And usually you'll see these Japanese couples walking all over Waikiki, you know, taking their pictures. But they haven't started that back up yet. Now on the left over here is Sea Life Park. This is a marine world. This is where Adam Sandler made that movie 50 First Dates. He was working with that walrus out there. But they have a mountain right in the middle of the mountain. There's a hole on the top up there. And a lot of people like to hike up to that hole. But it's a very strenuous hike. You know, there was this guy that made it up there during the pandemic. And he started taking all these selfies. And then he took the wrong step. And that was the last selfie he took. Anybody used to watch that show Magnum P.I. with Tom Selleck? Yeah, they filmed it right here in the front. But right over here on the right over here, they put up about 3 big homes inside here. That's the kind of rich friends you want, you know. Yeah, look at this beach over here. This is one of the nicest beaches on the island, Waimea. This is a very long beach. It stretches all the way in the front. This is one beach that you can come to and make like this is your own private beach. All you have to do is find a secluded spot, throw in your towel, and you got the whole beach to yourself. You know, but Waimea is used for medicinal purposes. It's good for your bones. You know, my dad, he had very bad arthritis, and he made his own noni juice. You know, noni looks like a small mango with warts on it, you know. But then he said in order to make it, he had to ferment it. And then when he drank it, he said it tasted so horrible, he would have to hold his nose to drink it. You know, I would see that thing sitting in the sun in a jar, you know. And I said, oh my God, what is that? You know, but he said that it really worked well for his arthritis, so he kept drinking it. Now they have noni juice mostly online, but they also have noni lotion for the pain. That's a really good pain reliever. At our stop at the Macadamia Nut Farm today, you guys can try that sample of the noni lotion if you want. You know, it's a very good pain reliever. I keep buying those bottles. You know, every time I run out, I get another one, but it works really well. Now on the left here is the Honolulu Polo Club. Very nice horses out here. And the Hawaiians back in the day, they were one of the pioneers in the U.S. to become cowboys, and they were one of the best at it. They called that the Paniolo, the Hawaiian cowboy. Now right on the right here is Bellows Air Force Base, and Bellows is where they ended up capturing the first prisoner of war when they had that attack on Pearl Harbor. You know, one of the Japanese midget subs grounded out here, and they were able to capture the occupants alive. And then they became the first prisoner of war. And Bellows has a very nice beach out there, but it's only used by the military. It's right on the base. But sometimes on a day like today on Sundays, they'll open it up to the public. And out here in Waimea, there was this very popular guy that used to live out here. His name is Chad Rowan. And Chad was this Japanese sumo wrestler. You know, in Japan, sumo is a very prestigious sport, but it was very unheard of long ago, you know, for any foreigner to come into Japan and win the grand championship in sumo. And Chad, his Japanese name was Akebono, and they said that Akebono was like the largest sumo wrestler that they ever saw in Japan. You know, the sumo wrestlers in Japan, they're big, but they're not too tall. Chad, he was big and tall. But when you win the grand championship in sumo, they treat you like a king out there. He won it for several years out there. Yeah, the sumo sport, they say, is very rigorous sport. You know, we used to have a lot of sumo wrestlers coming out of Hawaii, and now we don't have any. You know, we had 2 grand champions that came out of Hawaii, and I asked one of them, you know, why we don't have any more sumo wrestlers from Hawaii, and he said that that sport is so rigorous that people can't even handle the practice. You know, so it's a very rigorous sport. But yeah, back in that day, you know, with Akebono, there were several really good sumo wrestlers coming out of Hawaii. But now I don't see anybody coming out of Hawaii. And they used to bring the sumo sport out here to Hawaii, and they used to have some competitions out here. Yeah, this town, Waimea, you know, very, very laid back out here. They got a lot of nurseries out here. Very hot place in this part of the island. And Chad's mother used to have this shop out here on the right. She used to sell these sumo trinkets. Used to sell all these small sumo dolls and things like that, keychains. Now right in the front over here on the left, they have these Hawaiian murals. And these he went to each island and battled each kingdom. You know, so when he came to this island, he battled the warriors up in the Pali. That's why it's very historic up there. Now we have 137 islands in the Hawaiian archipelago. Most of them are uninhabited, nobody lives on. But 8 of them are considered the major islands. And of the 8 major islands, long ago, you know, before the 1800s, every major island had their own king. And King Kamehameha, who's the first king of Hawaii, he was the king of the island of Hawaii. And while he was the king of the island of Hawaii, he felt that if every island has their own king, we're very vulnerable to being taken over by any foreigners. So what he ended up doing was he went to each island and he started to battle each kingdom, and he started to conquer the islands one by one. After he conquered all the islands, he united them under the Hawaiian kingdom, and that's how we became Hawaii. So he was the first king of Hawaii. He had 2 sons and 2 grandsons that took over after him. His youngest son started reigning at the age of 12. That was King Kamehameha III. But he did have a lot of advisors helping him, you know, one of which was his stepmother, Queen Ka'ahumanu. So they had King Kamehameha I all the way to King Kamehameha V. And after King Kamehameha V, the next person in line was their cousin, Lunalilo. But King Kamehameha V, he didn't feel that his cousin Lunalilo was worthy of being the king. You know, because he would do more things for the people of Hawaii rather than the kingdom. So he never appointed him as his successor, but Lunalilo ended up running against Kalakaua. And because Lunalilo did so much for the people of Hawaii, most of them voted for him. So he ended up with a few thousand votes, while Kalakaua only had a couple hundred. So he became the next king, but he only reigned for about a year and then he passed away. And then they voted for Kalakaua to become the king. And after Kalakaua passed away, he appointed his sister, Liliuokalani, to become the queen. And Queen Liliuokalani became the first queen to rule the islands, and she was also the last person to rule the islands. At the time of her reign, there were a lot of people from all over the world coming to live in Hawaii, and they didn't like the way that the queen was doing things, because she would do more things for the kingdom rather than the people. So they planned a coup against her, and they were able to get the United States government to overthrow the Hawaiian government, but it turned out to be an illegal overthrow. You know, what happened is that they arrested the queen one day and they locked her up in her own palace. You know, very sad time for the people of Hawaii having their own queen locked up in her own palace. But at that time, the queen didn't want to put up a fight because she felt that there would be too much bloodshed among her people. So she ended up relinquishing the islands under protest, and then we became a territory of the United States. And eventually in 1959, we became the 50th state of America right after Alaska. And luckily we weren't before Alaska, or we would be Hawaii 4-9, not 5-0. But that's what it's all about, Hawaii 5-0. You know, Hawaii the 50th state. Now, President Obama, he looked into what had happened back then, and he found out that the president at that time was President Cleveland. And when President Cleveland saw what was going on out here, he thought that was wrong. So he wrote a letter to Congress stating that what's going on in Hawaii is very wrong. We need to give the land back to the Hawaiians, and we need to go about this a different way. But Congress just responded by telling him, we're just going to keep things the way they are. So they left it at that. And President Obama, he apologized to all the Native Hawaiians, but he said, I don't know what to do about it. I can't just go back in time and change things. You know, but just before he left office, he gave them a choice, and he said, you guys can start your own kingdom again if you want to. You know, but he said, you have to let the people vote on it to see what they want. So they summoned all the Native Hawaiians they could, and they were going to have an election. But just before they had the election, the Supreme Court came in, and they said, this is unconstitutional. You can't have this election. What they said is that you're only letting Native Hawaiians vote. So that's racist, you know. So they stopped the election, but it was interesting to see what might have happened or how they would have gone about it if they chose to start their own kingdom again. Now, when King Kamehameha came to battle the warriors on this island, he marched them from the other side of this mountain, and he marched them to the Pali. You know, the Pali is a cliff, and that's what it translates into, a cliff. When he got to the Pali, he gave them a choice. You know, he said, you guys can either join my army, or we're going to push you over that cliff. And that's the cliff right there in the front. Yeah, that's the Pali. And a lot of the warriors didn't think that was much of an option. And some of them didn't want to join his army, and they jumped over the cliff. But some of them joined his army, and some were pushed over the cliff. But the story goes is that he was pushing one of the warriors over the cliff, and that warrior clung onto him and took him over the cliff with him. But they say that the winds and the gods picked up Kamehameha and brought him back onto the cliff, and that's how he survived the battle of this island. They said that if he never made it back to the cliff, he would have died to his death, and he would have never conquered this island and never been able to unite all the islands together. So luckily, somehow he made it back to the cliff. So now we're gonna make a U-turn and head back to that cliff to the Pali. I'm gonna play a video that talks about that battle. And the mongoose were brought here to eradicate the rats. You know, but then they found out that the rats hunt at night and the mongoose hunts in the day. So that didn't work out. Now we have a lot of rats and mongoose. The only island without mongoose is the island of Kauai, and they're trying to keep it that way. But one day they found this big snake out here, a boa constrictor. You know, we're not supposed to have snakes in Hawaii, but some people bring in illegal animals. And then when they get too big, that's what they do. They just dump them on the side of the road.
Hello, hello. How are you? Huh?
What is this place?
Pali, what is that? Pali something, yeah? Pali,
Nuuanu Pali Lookout.
Numai Pali Lookout, yeah.
see across on the left-hand
You can
side,
open eyes.
they had a rock
You can
slide over
open
here, and these trees
eyes.
all came down along the whole road out here. Now, there's a lot of haunting stories out here because, you know, a lot of warriors were killed in that battle. But one of the most haunting stories out here is Madame Pele. There's all kinds of stories of Madame Pele that haunts the island. But shopping mall, they dropped her off over there, and they saw this cab driver, so they ran up to the cab driver and they said, "Can you take this lady wherever she wants to go?" And then they took off. You know, but the next day they went back to the side of the volcano, and on the left is one wall of the volcano. This is the Koala Mountains over here on the left. You know, we have two large mountain range on this island. This is the Koala, this is the largest one. It stretches all the way from the east all the way to the north. And the Koala mountain range is a more wet mountain range. You know, the rains stick to this mountain. That's why in Hawaii we don't have too much rain. They stick to the mountains, but we have what we call showers. You know, when the rain is at the mountain, then the winds start to blow. It'll blow it closer to the ocean, and it only makes showers. So we get a lot of showers. That's what creates the rainbows out here. But you can see how green it is out here. You know, it takes over 60 years for the water to seep down the mountains. We have all these volcanic rocks, and they're very porous. You know, they have all these holes.
Is a smaller scale replica of the over 950-year-old Byodo-In Temple in Uji, Japan, a United Nations World Heritage Site. The Byodo-In Temple is home to Amida,
Yeah, we're
a
going
golden
up
Buddha that
next
is thought
week.
to be the largest figure carved outside Japan,
On the 20th.
towering more than
No, the
9
kind
feet.
Planet
The hall
Hollywood.
that houses Buddha is known as Hodo or Phoenix Hall
Yeah.
because of the legendary. Enjoy the beautifully landscaped grounds and reflecting ponds with hundreds of Japanese koi, meditation niches, and small waterfalls.
Now these Koala mountains, they come very beautiful, especially when it rains. You know, after a good rain, then this whole mountain gets full of waterfalls. And that's a really pretty sight out here. Now this temple marked the 100th anniversary of the Japanese coming to Hawaii. And the Japanese were mostly Buddhists. And Buddha is a person, you know, he's not a god, but I compare him like with Gandhi. You know, but they sought Buddha for his enlightenment and his wisdom. And we have a lot of Buddhist temples in Hawaii because we had a lot of Japanese in Hawaii. But most of the temples look like a typical state capitol building with the round rotundas. This one is a replica from Japan, so it looks very different, very Japanese. So you guys get a taste of Japan on this tour. And it's a very serene sight out here. There's a big koi pond in the middle. The koi is the Japanese carps, and that's also a symbolism of good luck. So just walk around that koi pond to find your way. Okay, so I have Yeah, very popular place. Very beautiful, huh? Yeah, you see these shrines in the front over here? These are Japanese shrines. And the Japanese, they believe in cremation. So what they do is their family buys one of these shrines. And then when they pass away, they get cremated. And the whole family puts all their urns in the same shrine. And that way they believe in the afterlife. They rest together. Or they live together. So the next stop is a pretty fun stop. We're going over to the macadamia nut farm. Yeah, usually I'm the only nut in the bus. But there's a lot of nuts over there. All kinds of nuts. So you can sample the nuts, and if you want to purchase it, you can purchase it. Now if you want just the plain macadamia nuts or the chocolate covered ones, wait till we get to the lunch stop. Okay, at our lunch stop there's a CVS store. Yeah, the prices are way better. Now if you guys want the glazed flavor that they have there, they're the only ones that have it, so get it over there. Yeah, I gotta take care of my ohana. Now over there they got coffee for you coffee lovers. They got Kona coffee, and Kona coffee is like one of the most expensive coffee in the world. You know, it comes from Kona, which is on the island of Hawaii where the volcanoes are at. So it grows in that rich volcanic soil, and that's what makes it taste good. Okay, now all the Kona coffee that you see in the stores, they're either 10% or they're 100%. Over there they got 40%. Okay, a little bit more Kona. And they give you these samples in these little bitty cups. But if you guys want to refill it, feel free to refill it. Okay, they don't mind that. Now if you guys leave a donation, you can stay there for the whole time drinking coffee. And also, if I try more of that, go ask them. Okay, they don't mind it. Yeah, I'm not a coffee drinker, so I like that 40% Kona coffee. You put some milk in that 40% Kona coffee and it tastes like cocoa. Yeah, a little bit more sweeter, just like me. So they got all kinds of goodies over there. You know, they got, if you guys want to get the cookies or the tea that they sell over there, go get them at the CVS store, the top off, so you can eat the meat inside. And Kualoa Ranch stretches from the left over here all the way to the other side of the mountains. And Kualoa is where the Kamehameha settled when they first came to this island. And King Kamehameha III inherited all the land out here, and he sold it to his favorite advisor, Dr. Judd. And Dr. Judd tried to turn this into a sugar mill, but back then sugar was a very funny thing to grow, very hard thing to grow, so the mill went out of business after about 10 years. So right in the entrance is right in the front over here on the right hand side. And once you go inside on the right hand side, they have the coffee. And all the way in the middle of the building, they have the nuts and the lotions.
You wanna hold it for me? Yeah. Wait till I count to two. Wait till I count to two. This is my papa. New York City. Wait till I count to two. Wait till I count to two. Let me hear you say uno, dos. That means two. New York. Look me in my eye. I never give up. Why is he so scared of you trying everything?
tour that they do. On the right, they have like a private beach that they use. Like I said, there's no private beaches in Hawaii, but to get to the beach out there, you have to go from their property and you have to go on a boat or canoe, so nobody goes out there on those beaches. But they filmed a lot of movies out here at Kualoa. You know, the most popular one was Jurassic Park and Jurassic World. Yeah, that's why they have this movie site tour that they give, and you can go to all the places that they filmed. And they still have the dinosaur bones. They got the raptors out in the valley. Very fun tour. You can spend the whole day being out here at Kualoa. Very fun place. Now, right on the right over here, this is Kualoa Beach Park. Very nice beach out here. You see that tip of the tail of that fire-breathing lizard, that small island? You can see why they call it Chinaman's hat, because of the shape of it, but also because there were so many Chinese immigrants working on this ranch over here. Now you see all the way on the right, that turtle shape of the island? That's the marine base. And the tail of the turtle connects to the island, and that's the entry to the base. That's why it's a very safe place. There's only one entry to that base. So that's where all the presidents that come to Hawaii stay at, because of security reasons. All except for President Trump. President Trump had to be different, and he wanted to stay in Waikiki, which created a traffic nightmare out there. Now on the left over here, Kualoa Ranch. This is where the Kamehameha settled when they first came to this island. And King Kamehameha III inherited all the land out here, and he sold it to his favorite advisor, Dr. Judd. And Dr. Judd tried to turn this into a sugar mill, but it didn't quite work out for him. Sugar was a very funny thing to grow back then. Kind of an oxymoron thing. You know, right over here on the left, that's the remnants of the mill. But you had to have a very dry place, and you had to have lots of water. You know, and back then they didn't have irrigation. So about 10 years after he tried to start up the mill, it went out of business. But you can see how dry it is out here by the trees. You know, these trees that look like umbrellas, they're monkey paw trees. And the monkey paw trees were here in Hawaii when they had that attack on Pearl Harbor. These act as a good camouflage for the big military vehicles. That's why they planted it all around the island. And today we have these trees all around the island. It's a good shade tree. Some of you guys from where you're from, you might think of it as a mimosa tree. You know, they say that the mimosa tree is actually different. And I don't see much difference in it. The tree looks the same, the flowers look the same, but they say the difference is in the size. So the mimosa tree is actually a little bit smaller than the monkey paw tree. And out here at Kualoa, they do a lot of wedding venues. You can have a small wedding to a big, small intimate wedding to a really big, over 1,000 people wedding. Yeah, they got all this land out here. So they're very popular with the weddings out here. Now these waters on the right, you know, they look very nice out here, but it's not really known for surfing out here. You know, usually when the winds are low, then you might see some surfers, but the winds come in from this side, so it kind of makes it a little choppy out here. But a lot of people like to go diving out here for octopus, you know, the squid. Now on the left over here, you might get a feel for that movie Jurassic Park. That's where they filmed it, right in the valleys out there. And these rock walls on the right, you know, they just replenished this during the pandemic, but when the hurricanes hit the island, they hit these rock walls and they'll fly straight into the air and they land right on your car. That's why our cars in Hawaii, they don't last too long. We got all this salt water and the salt air. We have one of the most productive car dealerships in the US. They sell a lot of cars out here for a small place like Hawaii. Now Hawaii doesn't have too many weather threats. You know, right now is hurricane season. We get hurricanes, we get tsunamis, we get tropical storms, and that's about it. Very bad weather out here. You know, the hurricanes, when they come into the islands, we're surrounded by strong wind shear. So once they hit the island, the wind shear starts to break it up. You know, by the time it gets to this island, it's not too bad. Just like with the tsunamis, they hit one of the end islands and it starts to weaken. Luckily, we haven't had a bad hurricane or tsunami in a long while. But this town out here is called Ka'ava. And Ka'ava is the only town in the U.S. that has 3 A's in a row. You can see how they spell it on the left over here. This is Ka'ava School. Yeah, but it's very easy to say the Hawaiian words. All you do is take 2 or 3 letters at a time and you pronounce it that way. There's a difference when you get to the W. So if the W is at the beginning of the word, you pronounce it like a W, like Waikiki. If it's anywhere after that first letter, the correct way of pronouncing it is like a V. So the correct way of saying Hawaii is actually Hawaii. And then there's an okina. The okina is an upside down apostrophe. So when you get to the okina, you give it a slight pause. That's why in between all the A's in Ka'ava, there's an okina. And that's why it's pronounced Ka'ava instead of Ka'ava. But the Hawaiian alphabet is very limited. You know, there's only 12 letters in the alphabet. 5 of them are vowels and they have 7 more letters. That's why when you get to a long Hawaiian word, it's very repetitious, like Kamehameha. But most of the street names out here are Hawaiian names or Hawaiian words. You know, some of the places, like where the Spaniards settled, they have Spanish names or they have American names. But most of them is Hawaiian names out here. Now over here in the front is a very popular hiking spot. You know, they call this the Crouching Lion. Now, if you look in the front over there, right on top of that mountain, you can see some people made it up there. What they do is they hike up to the first ridge, and then they come down from the left-hand side, and then they go up to the 9th. And Molokai is where they had leprosy long ago. You know, they had that leper colony out there, Kalaupapa. And there was this Belgium Hawaii than any other place in the world, which is very amazing because we're in the middle of nowhere. You know, we're the furthest place from any other civilization. But Kauai is a very lush island. It has this majestic canyon out there, the Waimea Canyon. And the Waimea Canyon is kind of like a mini Grand Canyon. They have the lush Napali coastline, very beautiful. They have this famous rainforest, the Fern Grotto. If you ever go to Kauai, you know, time just slips backwards. It goes very slowly over there. Not much to do in Kauai, but it's very relaxing. Tragedy out there. And Hurricane Dora was passing the island, you know, and it didn't do much damage to the island, but it all of a sudden it kicked up the winds. And in Lahaina is like an old Hawaiian town out there. You know, all the buildings look very old, and it's kind of like the Waikiki of Maui. You know, they have, it's a very small town, but then all of a sudden in Lahaina, the wind kicked up and they had a brush fire out there. And that thing just ignited. Amazingly, it burned down all the buildings in Lahaina. The whole big town out there caught on fire. You know, so it's all in rubble today, but you can still go to Maui. There's still things to do out in Maui. They have the big crater up there, the Haleakala. You know, a lot of people like to catch the sunrise or the sunset out at Haleakala. It sits way above the summits up there. Haleakala is one of the places that snows in Hawaii. Here we have 4 counties. We have the county of Hawaii, Maui, Kauai, and instead of calling this the county of Oahu, they call this the county of Honolulu. And each county consists of that island and the surrounding islands. And any other island that's not a part of any of the other counties is a part of Honolulu. And because Honolulu is our capital city, and because our Hawaiian island chain stretches for some 1,600 miles, they say that Honolulu stretches for some 1,600 miles. And that's about halfway through the 48 contiguous states. That's why they claim that we're the largest city in the world, Honolulu. So now you can say you've been to the largest city in the world, Honolulu, and nobody's gonna believe you.
Clap, clap, clap.
Now this town is called Laie, and Laie is very heavily influenced by the Mormon community. Right in the front here, they have the Polynesian Culture Center, which is owned by the Mormon Temple. This is a very huge property out here, but look at today, it's closed. And that's because the Mormons don't believe on working on the Sabbath day, which is today. Now these tiki statues on the left, these were representations of gods. The old Hawaiians believed that those were gods and they used to worship it. But alien enthusiasts, they say that these are representations of aliens that came to Hawaii a long time ago. But this town over here is heavily influenced by the Mormon community. That's why today everything pretty much in this town is closed because the Mormons don't believe on working on Sundays, the Sabbath day. The only thing open out here is probably on the left here, McDonald's. Right down the street on the left over here is the BYU Hawaii campus, Brigham Young University. You know, a lot of the students out there at BYU, they earn their money by working at the Culture Center. You can pretty much speak any language in the world, and they can probably find a student that can speak your language and give you a tour in your native tongue. Now, right here on the left here, this is the shopping mall for this town, but look at it today, it's all empty out here. That's because all these shops out here are closed today because of that strong Mormon influence. They have this big supermarket chain in Hawaii right in the front over here, Foodland. And even they're closed on Sundays, which is very amazing. Everybody does their grocery shopping on Sunday, but they're closed. And that's the only Foodland in the state that doesn't sell tobacco or alcohol because of that strong Mormon influence. And that's pretty amazing, you know, because that's where they make their money. Now, right on the left here, if you want to see how rich the Mormons are, take a look over here down the street. That's the temple at the end. But look how plush the grounds are leading up to that temple. Very beautiful. Now that temple is not used for the Sunday services. That temple is only used for things of Mormon worthiness, whatever that means. I think it's a very high stature for them because they say that you can have weddings in that temple, but in order to have a wedding in that temple, you have to be of Mormon worthiness. Now, when I was in my 20s, not too long ago, you know, I just had my 31st birthday in August for the 31st time, but when I was in my 20s, my friends and I came out here and we had a party with some ladies, and I think that they were Mormons, and I think that they went to BYU, because when we got to that party, they were chanting, you know, they were saying, "More men. More men." And then they started chanting, "Bring them young, bring them young." So I thought they were Mormons from Brigham Young University. By the way, it's the Church of Jesus Christ Latter-day Saints. And you can always see the churchgoers going around the island, you know, promoting their religion in their white shirts. So now we're getting to the countryside out here. You see a lot of open land, farmland, ranches. You know, they have this windmill farm out here. And the windmills out here, they provide alternative energy. And they provide electricity for the entire grid on this part of the island, which is a really good thing. You know, Hawaii has one of the most expensive electrical costs in the US. We use fossil fuel and oil right now, and that's all imported. So it's very expensive. But right now what they're doing is they're setting up all these solar panel farms, which is very logical out here. The solar cost went down, you know, so it's getting more affordable. So they started setting up all these solar panel farms to store that electricity in the batteries. So that's a really good thing out here. Hopefully our electrical costs go lower. Pinky and your thumb out and you wave it about. This means all kinds of things, okay? people wave this to say aloha. You know, a lot of the locals, we have one of the worst traffic in the nation, but when people put on their blinkers in traffic, we'll let them in, and then they flash you the shaka sign saying mahalo. You know, but this means like hang loose, take it easy, how you doing, how's it? You know, all kinds of different things. But this came famous from this guy that used to live in this town. You know, he was living by the plantations, and every time he would see the plantation workers, they would be crammed up in their trucks, and he would wave at them and say aloha. You know, but one day he had an accident at work, and he cut off his 3 middle fingers. So the next time he saw the workers, he waved, but it kind of looked like this. So the workers saw that, and they thought he was waving like this, so they waved back like this. But that's how they all started out here in this town. That's a true story. That's how it all started. Now, this town, Kahuku, has a very big Polynesian community out here. And the Polynesians, they're very big people. You know, this school on the left, Kahuku High School, they're known for their football programs. They compete nationally. Yeah, they just won one of the top teams in California last season. But if you ever keep up with American Idol, you know, the winner last year was this guy named E.M. Tongi. And he went to that school. He was only 18. He's the first American Idol winner from Hawaii. Yeah, we have a lot of Polynesian athletes that made it good from Hawaii, you know, especially in the NFL. We have Manti Te'o, Tua Tagovailoa, Marcus Mariota. You know, it all stemmed from back in the day when they had Jesse Sapolo. You know, Jesse made it to the 49ers, and back in his day, it was unheard of for anybody from Hawaii. Beach over here, you see how wide this beach is? They think that they're safe on the beach, but if they're not careful, they're not safe. You know, there was this lady last winter, she was walking with her baby on the top part of the beach, and then one of the waves came and knocked her down, and she dropped the baby, and the baby started rolling into the ocean. You know, luckily some bystanders saw that, and they jumped into action, and they were able to catch the baby in time. But that happens to a lot of adults also. You know, like I was saying, selfies can get dangerous, and when the waves get big, everybody's out on the beach taking selfies. You know, they turn their backs to the ocean, and when the waves come on shore, they're in between maybe your knees and your hips. But once that wave hits you from behind, that thing is going to knock you down. And the danger comes when it flattens you. Once it flattens you, that current is so strong, it'll just roll you into the ocean. You know, they say that if that ever happens to you, just let the wave take you into the ocean and wait for the lifeguards. But easier said than done, right? When that happens, everybody panics. You know, and that's how they drown. But today, the lifeguards, they have jet skis. Ever since they started using the jet skis, they've been saving thousands of more lives. You know, so that's a really good thing. They do a lot of rescues out here. You know, thousands of rescues during the winter months. The lifeguards out here stay very, very busy. And right on the right here is a popular surf beach. They have a lot of contests out here too. You can't really see it from the roadside, but that's a really nice beach out there, Ehukai Beach. And Ehukai is better known as the Banzai Pipeline. Some of you guys might have heard of that. The Banzai Pipeline is one of the most deadliest beaches in the world when it comes to big wave surfing. The Banzai Pipeline breaks like a pipe, which is very tubular, and the surfers love to ride the wave from the inside, being covered by that wave. They call that being barrel. You know, but if you don't make it out of that wave force is so strong, it'll pound you down to the ocean floor. And on the ocean floor, there's all these sharp rocks, and it's very shallow out there. You know, it becomes like a human washing machine. It just tumbles you on the ground on the ocean floor out there. Yeah, that's why I've seen a lot of people end up getting cut up. You know, they come out all bloody, you know, when they wipe out at the Banzai Pipeline. But sometimes the wave force is so strong out there You know, that thing will just break your board in half. And then you come back with 2 boards instead of 1. And that's not a bargain. Now they have homes all along the beaches out here. And these homeowners, they fear for their home when the swell comes in. You know, all the beaches on the island, they've been eroding. And they used to have like 30, 40 feet of lawn. It used to drop down about 30 feet to the beach. But today, there's no lawn. That home sits right at the ledge, you know, at the edge. And it only drops down about 10 feet. You know, that's why one of the homeowners last winter, he said he was getting so afraid because the waves were getting so big that he slept in his cottage in the back. He had a cottage in the back of his own. And lucky he did that, because when he woke up in the morning, his home was halfway on the beach. Luckily, they could pull it back up. It didn't crack in half. But these guys, they get afraid when the big waves come. Now, right on the right over here is Shark's Cove. This is very popular for snorkeling, especially at this time of year. You can see everybody in that bay over there. And sometimes when the waves get big, people climb those rocks, and that gets dangerous too. Once you hit those rocks, the wave just flies straight up and it might suck you into the ocean. But this place has been getting so popular, you know, it's been getting so saturated with people that it's been damaging the ecosystem out here. You know, they're trying to figure out a way that they can maybe limit the amount of people coming into the bay over here. You know, at Hanauma Bay, they ended up limiting the amount of people going into the bay ever since the pandemic, and it's been improving the ecosystem. But Hanauma Bay only has 1 entrance, so it's very easy to limit the amount of people to control it. But over here is all open land, so it's going to be very hard to do that out here. Now we have this big wave contest every year, you know, if they can. Every year from about November to February, they wait for the waves to get really, really big. Because in order to have this contest, the waves have to be at least 40 feet high for at least 8 hours in very nice condition. That's like on a low windy day. You know, so it's in honor of this, the first lifeguard that worked out here in the beach in the front over here. Get your guys' cameras ready, because this is a very nice beach coming up in the front. This is Waimea Bay, and this guy named Eddie Aikau, he was the first lifeguard out here. Botanical Garden, this park out here, Waimea Valley Falls Park. And Waimea Valley, they have this waterfall out there, you know, which people like to hike up to, and they like to go swimming out there. It's a very big waterfall. They charge you an admission to get in that park. But it's a very popular place for people. Now this beach over here, Waimea Bay, is very fun for the kids out here. You know, there's this big rock in the water that the kids like to climb that rock, and they like to jump off of it. In the wintertime, there's waves, so you won't see any kids out here. But in the summertime, you know, you'll see all the kids out here. Yeah, it's right on the right over here. Yeah, you see the beach getting crowded. Everybody has to park on the road because there's not enough parking in there. Yeah, I can't see any turtles out there today. You know, pretty soon there's small waves out here, but when the waves come, then the turtles stay a little further out. So we're getting closer to Haleiwa. I'm going to finish off the video.
Historic Haleiwa was established in 1832 by the Reverend and Mrs. John Emerson, the first missionaries to reach the present.
But they do have a soap seller out in Haleiwa also that sells all kinds of soap items. So if you guys look at that pamphlet I gave you this morning, right in the middle is a map of Haleiwa. It has some points of interest, and it's really easy to get through Haleiwa town because there's only one road that'll take you to the whole town. If you want that huli huli chicken, it's at the parking lot of Malama Market. Malama Market has a lot of goodies over there. If you guys want to take back things to the hotel, Malama Market prices are a lot better than Waikiki. And Malama Market sells hot foods a la carte. They sell them by the pound. You don't have to buy the whole pound. You can buy a quarter pound or a half pound. Apple ice cream, so leave some room for that. Yeah, Matsumoto shave ice is a real popular one out here. They get very busy, especially on day like today. They grow from small, itty bitty bite size, and then they grow bigger and bigger until you can eat them. Now, do you guys have pineapples back home? Yeah. Are they good? Yeah? Okay, if they're not good, then maybe they came from Hawaii. Because what we do is we pick all the good ones, and then we send the rest out. Not too much of our pineapples end up being sent out. They're mostly locally consumed over here. But not all things pineapple taste good. One day at Dole, they were giving out these samples of pineapple coffee, and I tasted it, and it was like the worst coffee I ever tasted. The next week, they weren't giving out any more samples anymore. You see right on the right, they got the crown over there of the pineapple ready to plant. Yeah, they're going to plant it one by one, putting them in the soil. So at Dole, there's a train ride and a maze, but we won't have enough time for that. This is just another quick stop to get your pineapple ice cream, do a little more shopping. That pineapple ice cream, that Dole whip, is very ono, but it's also very expensive. So if you get a cup, you can share it with about 3 or 4 people, unless you want the whole thing to yourself. Now right on the left over here, these yellow flowers, they're the hibiscus. And the hibiscus is our state flower. But the state flower is the yellow hibiscus. The yellow hibiscus with the red inside. Not all yellow, but they have the red inside. The hibiscus has many different colors. There was a guy that used to hybrid the hibiscus and come out with a different color every year. But the yellow, it used to be the red hibiscus that was the state flower, but yellow is the color of royalty out here. So they ended up changing it to yellow, but they left the red inside, the little red. So all these tall trees out here, these are eucalyptus trees. That's the one that the koalas like. If you go around the area and you see a leaf, a skinny leaf on the ground, pick one up and bend it in. This unique rainbow eucalyptus out here. It kind of has colors of the rainbow. Yeah, but there's not much at the west side of the island. Not much things out there. They have some nice. They have on the right. They have these pineapple patches out there. Show you all different kinds of pineapple grown around the world. Over here on the right, they have some grilled corn. Yeah, this pineapple truck, the line doesn't seem that long. Yeah, you see on the right, that's the rainbow eucalyptus. If you want to take some funny pictures, go in the front over here and you can stick your head out of the pineapple and take a picture. There's a male and female pineapple. The female is the one with the coconuts. They actually have coconuts on them.
Very sweet.
Dole pineapple.
It's okay. Hello.
Alaska.
photo
Wow. And you staying there a little while? Yeah. Ah, and then what? You go? Oh, you go on a cruise? Wow. For those reviews. So my uncle was telling me this story, long ago. He said his friend and he was traveling out here at night. And out here at night it's very dark. There's hardly any street lights, but he said that they saw this lady walking along the road dressed in white. And then they never picked her up, but they passed her by. But about a mile later they saw the same lady walking along the road. So they figured they better pick her up. So they pulled over. She got and they drove off. And as they were driving off, my uncle turned around to ask her where she wanted to get off, and she was already gone. But they say that if you don't pick her up, then something bad happens to you. Usually to your car. I don't know what it is with Madam Haley and their cars, but usually something wrong will happen to your car. Military. This is all military land in the front out here. But when you get to the west side, then the road ends at the end of the island out there. But if you go towards the right over here, and you keep on going, you'll reach the end of the island. But Schofield Barracks, and all the way in the front we have the Wheeler Air Force Base. And Wheeler Air Force Base is where they ended up filming that movie Snowden. You know, that was about Edward Snowden, who they thought he was a spy. And Edward Snowden was working at this secret underground base at Wheeler. And while he was working there, he ran through some classified material. But some of the things he came across, he thought it was wrong for the military to be doing. So he ended up stealing those material, and he ran off to some foreign country. That's why they thought he was a spy, and they thought he was going to sell that all to a foreign country. But it turns out that he wanted to reveal that to the public. So he gave that to one of the foreign news agencies, and they revealed it to the public. You know, but they said that if Edward Snowden ever returns to the U.S., then they're going to arrest him for all the crimes he committed back then. And just a couple months ago, they announced that Edward Snowden, the Japanese, they missed pretty much almost everything. Those oil tankers on the right over there, they were here in 1941, and they connect to an underground piping that goes all the way up the mountains over there. They said that if the Japanese had hit those oil tankers, that whole place would have been devastated, and maybe they would have won the war. But at the very least, the war would have been delayed, because they would have to go back to California and refuel, and then head on out to Japan. So just before 8 o'clock on December 7, 1941, the first wave of planes came in with little over 180 planes. Very hard to believe that many planes in the air today. But they went to Pearl Harbor, they hit all the battleships, they did all the damage, and about 45 minutes later, the second wave came in with little over 160 planes, and they continued on the damage out there. And after they did all the damage out there, we need to go back and we need to hit all the places that we missed out here. Of course, they did a study back then to see how safe we were from any attacks from Japan, and they said they didn't want to start the rail system because they said that it's not going to work in Hawaii, and they thought that the bus system was pretty good out here, so they wanted to put their money in the bus system. But the mayor that started this rail, he said, vote for me, I'm going to alleviate the traffic jam out here, and I'm going to build the rail. You know, so people voted for him, he got elected, and right off the bat, he started making all these mistakes. You know, his biggest mistake is that he misbudgeted. So off the bat, he was in the hole about $1 billion. Yeah, today it's about $5 billion. By the time they finish, they say it'll be shopping. But over there on the right, that tower up there, that's Aloha Tower. And Aloha Tower used to be the tallest building in Honolulu all the way up until the 1960s. But if you can imagine fuel tanks the size of Aloha Tower, there's about 20 of them underneath the mountain by Pearl Harbor, and they sparked a really big controversy recently. You know, one of the tanks started leaking fuel a few years ago, and the public was afraid that eventually it'll get into the aquifer. So they urged the Navy to stop using those tanks or to replace them. But the Navy said in order to replace them, it's going to cost them billions of dollars. So they put off the project. But in the year before the last, one of the families started getting sick out there, and they said they taste fuel in the water. So the Navy checked and they said, I don't think it's coming from our fuel tanks. But what they found on Friday, you know, we're going to stop at that statue. That's where they filmed Hawaii 5-0. But on Friday, they ended up draping the king with all these leis. So it's very beautiful out there. So I'll give you guys another Instagram moment out there. Just a short stop and take some pictures. Yeah, King Kamehameha is the first king of Hawaii, and they elected June 11th to be King Kamehameha Day, which honors him. So it's a state holiday on that day. Yeah, so it's pretty out there, you know, right at the statue. And right across the statue is the Iolani Palace. Now the Iolani Palace is the only royal palace in America. We're the only ones that was governed by a monarchy. We're the only state that has a royal palace in the US. And that was built by King Kalakaua, who was the last king of the island. They called him the Merry Monarch because they say he was a big party animal. You know, he would throw all these big parties on the palace grounds. He would outside, but inside is very pristine, like it used to look back in the day. They used this hardwood, they call it koa wood, and it preserves very well. His powers, and he has a full-length cape, so he was the highest of royalty with the most coral slabs. The Hawaiians bought the coral from the ocean and they made these slabs and they made this church. Now right in the front here, this small chapel looking building, that's a mausoleum for King Lunalilo. And King Lunalilo, he was the cousin of the Kamehamehas. You know, we have a mausoleum out by the Pali, which they call the Royal Mausoleum. And the Royal Mausoleum has all the royalties buried there, all except for two. And one of them is King Lunalilo. He was known as the People's King. He did so much for the people of Hawaii, you know, that he wanted to be laid to rest among his people. So when he passed away, they built that mausoleum on the church ground. But the other person that's not buried at the Royal Mausoleum is King Kamehameha the Great, the first king. And the legend goes is that anybody that wouldn't possess his body wouldn't possess his mana. And his mana is his powers, his strength, his spirit. And because he was such a powerful person, they didn't want that getting into the wrong hands. So when he passed away, two of his warriors took him to a secret location and they buried him there. And to this day, nobody knows where that is. King Kamehameha the Great. Furnished, but for a 4-bedroom unit, they start at $10 million. $10 million. But if you guys buy one of these units, you'll become my neighbor. I just got me a summer place out here, right on the right-hand side over there, under the trees. My kind of rent. I don't think anybody lives out there, you know, because it's fully furnished. You know, it looks like people are living there, but I never see anybody out there. That's crazy, $10 million. Now, right on the left is Alamona Shopping Center. This is the largest shopping mall, outdoor shopping mall in the world. At one time, it was the largest shopping mall in the world. But if you ever get a chance to come to Alamona, right on the left over here is Macy's. If you go on the other side of Macy's and you walk down 2 blocks, there's a Don Quixote store. And that's the best place to shop in Hawaii because of the prices. It was my honor and privilege to take you guys around the island today. I hope you guys all enjoyed it. It was a very nice day to go around the islands.
Mahalo.
Yes, mahalo. Yeah, so Hawaii has a lot of traditions out here. You know, we give leis on special occasions, especially at this time of year at graduation. The ladies have this special lei called the haku lei. And the haku hakule is a headpiece lei. They wear it around their heads. The guys have this special lei called the maili lei. The maili lei is a lei of leaves, like the one you saw in King Kamehameha. You know, all you do is hang it around your neck. That's the only lei that doesn't complete a circle, the maili lei. But the ladies at graduation, they have the hakule on their head. They have all the leis around their necks, and you can hardly see them. All you can see is their eyes. It's like COVID time. But if you ever go to a Hawaiian graduation, that smell is really, really nice. All those floral leis. And if you ever receive a plumeria lei, the other flower that was on King Kamehameha, that's a very special lei. Because they don't sell that at the lei stand. You know, that's one of the most common flowers in Hawaii. And people have that all over their homes. So what we do is we make our own plumeria leis. That's why they don't sell it at the lei stand. But if you receive a plumeria lei, that means it's full of aloha, full of love. Because whoever gave it to you probably made it themselves. Now you step up your game. Now one of the best things of Hawaii are the people. The people of Hawaii, they have the aloha spirit, the heart of aloha. But now that you guys are part of the people of Hawaii, you guys are part of the best things of Hawaii. And you might feel a little different than you do back home. You know, it's probably because you have the aloha spirit in you now. So make sure when you go home, you take that home with you and you spread that around. It gets very contagious. That's why we say that the world could use a little bit more aloha, a little bit more love. In Hawaii, we say we live aloha, live with love. So all you couples in the bus, you guys can look at each other with love in your eyes. And you can say, you are my ku ipo. My ku ipo. Yes, ku ipo means pain in the butt. In Hawaii, we say okole. Actually, ku ipo is sweetheart. You are my sweetheart. My ku ipo. And we have a name that we call you tourists. If you come for the first time, you're called a malahini. Yes, malahini generally translates into being a newcomer or visitor. If you come maybe 2 or 3 times, we'll call you a kama'aina. And kama'aina generally translates into being local. So once you return, we're already calling you local. But if you come maybe 4 more times, then we'll call you filthy rich. And all you filthy rich people, you have to share the Benjamins out here. That's what we call sharing the aloha.